on recording again. So what I was explaining is that like this is a hypervisor and it is a Linux based machine and it is actually on CLI mode. Like if you have to
non-line interface.
you have to execute some command, so you have to visit like local command shell here, then you have to enter the root user password, and we have multiple commands. Like if you want to see IP address or date or time, whatever, you will get multiple. You can operate from here, but it is quite complicated for a newcomer, even for the experts, to manage with this screen. So to manage the hypervisor in GUI mode, we have one application which is known as Sysdig GenCenter. Here it is. It is a exe file. You can install it in any Windows laptop, on your personal laptop, or on your not your personal laptop, like your office provided laptop, and like into any server. But those servers should be connected to your network, means office network, or you might be using any VPN. This is the only two ways to get into the network. Okay, so what we have to do, we have to add that hypervisor. So for the same, you can right click here, or you can click here, add new server. First you have to enter the IP address of hypervisor, is 10.51, and the password for root user.
Password.
Simply add it. So our hypervisor is added now, okay, which is our Gen server 02, okay. So in a same way, if you are having thousands of hypervisors in your production infra, you can add all the hypervisors here. So now with the help of hypervisor, so if you can click here, like on general tab, you will get few details like the host name and the server uptime since when it is up, okay. You can get the license detail, you can get the version details, okay. You can get the memory details. Like so far it's 2.5 GB RAM is available. Why? Because I have reduced the RAM, okay. And you will also get the CPU details here, right? So coming to the memory tab, you can get the memory details, whatever the memory is allocated, what is available, and what is getting utilized right now, okay. In the storage tab, you will get the storage details, how many storage are attached to this. In the networking, you will get the NIC card details. Into the console, so this is the console, what we are getting the console here, like here, right, on VMware Workstation. So to get the similar console, we have one command. First, we have to enter the password here, and one command is there which is known as access console. After this, you will get the same screen here, what you was getting over there, right? So this is how it works. And so now this is a hypervisor. So how to create a virtual machines into hypervisor, that is a different topic that we can cover after the site setup. And okay, just let me show you. Just suppose you have to host a virtual machine in that hypervisor. So what you have to do? First, you have to log into your Gen Center. Then you have to connect to the hypervisor, and simply you can click on the hypervisor, do right click. New VM means for the new virtual machine. New SR for the new storage. Import means if you want to import any virtual machine from a different hypervisor, you can do that. You can add it to the new pool, you can create, you can install the certificate, you can put that server into the maintenance mode, you can reboot it, shut down it, disconnect it, reconnect it, and restart tool stack. I'm not sure is someone using that option or not. Even I never used. Okay, so these are the basic options.
Okay.
If you click on the
Sir, but
Mhm.
sir, but I never seen in my organization Gen Center app. Sir.
So because as you told me, now you do not have any access to the hypervisors, right? That is the only reason.
Yes, sir.
Because you are not working on the
Okay.
hypervisor, so that is the only. Okay, one more thing, why you have not seen the Gen Center. The most probability is that in your organization, VMware ESXi host will be there, right? There Will be
Yes,
know?
sir. VMware.
So yeah, simple. So as we are learning the Citrix, so VMware itself, it is a different topic, okay? And multiple organization, what they guys are doing, they having the like VMware ESXi host as a hypervisor, and they guys are using only PBS console. They guys are streaming the VDs using PBS console, and that's it, right? Why? Because actually, look, for small kind of industries, like the for the industries having users, I think 100 or 100 plus, means just below the 500 users. Only those organization are opting for the MCS. MCS means machine creation service. But if you are having thousand of users or even more than 10,000 of users, in that case, what we have to do? We have to create a VDIX using PBS, and we can stream that VDIX to the multiple users at a time, right? Any question?
No.
Okay, so this is how we are working on the hypervisor. Look, things actually are quite different. Like, if you are opting for the Citrix administrator role only, okay, so whenever you will get any job notification, in that job notification, you have to read out the JD, like, are these guys are hiring corely for the Citrix infra, or there is a kind of hybrid infra, means Citrix with PBS console and hypervisor from the VMware, right? So you have to read out the JD. So if something is mentions like they will be requiring a good exposure on Citrix slash VMware, so that means they guys are using services from the Citrix, but they are using hypervisors from the VSphere, VMware, right? So VMware is not also that much complicated. We can cover anytime. Okay. So what I was explaining here, like if you want to deploy a new virtual machine here, you can create new virtual. Sorry, I have clicked on the new storage. You can click on new VM.
Yeah.
From here, you can select the template, which virtual machine you have to deploy, like Windows 10, 8, multiple operating systems are there. Let's take it Windows 10. Okay. You can name anything. You have to select the ISO media. So far, we have not created any ISO library, so we are not getting any ISO media here. I will let you know how to create the ISO library. Then next, we can allocate the RAM, whatever we want. We can allocate the CPU for this machine, how much CPU will be required. We can allocate the hard drive for this machine. By default, it's 32 GB, but if you want to decrease or increase, you can do that from here, okay? And in a same way, we can opt for the networking part. Right now I'm canceling this. Why? Because first we have to set up the site. Okay,
Okay, sir.
so that was just an explanation. So now go back here into the DDC. What is going on here?
Studio is open, sir.
Okay, so what
Uh,
so far what we did, just explain what you have understand and what we did before creating any site. So far means we have,
Sir, we need to create machine catalog first, then, sir, delivery group.
what I'm asking is that what we did so far, not what we have to do, right? Like from first session, हमने जो किया, that's
Okay.
thing I'm asking. I'm not asking what we will have to perform. Like we have to create machine catalog or delivery group. No, I'm asking what we did and why we did.
The delivery controller installed with core component and prerequisite, in which Studio is
Mm-hmm.
uh, already installed as a core component.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so no need to complete the Studio part first, sir.
Now see screen and explain.
Sir, install the delivery controller and core component and install configure Citrix hypervisor. We are cover point 3 तक हमने कवर कर, सर कर लिया है सर.
Okay, so
install and
simple question here, as we did things yesterday only. What are the prerequisites required to install and configure the delivery controller and other core component? What are the prerequisites?
prerequisite SQL uh, SQL
SQL Server then?
uh, Microsoft सर प्री फिजिक्स में सर 7-8 पॉइंट था सर अभी लिख कर रहा हूँ सर और
SQL
कोर
Server,
कंपोनेंट
okay.
में
SQL Server for database, Active Directory Server for
ओके
authentication, okay, and then Microsoft Visual like x64 and .NET Framework 4.5, then Web
हाँ
Server IIS for storefront role, right? So
यस सर
these are the basic prerequisites that must be installed. Actually, those prerequisites are into the package itself, the ISO media, what we have done, right? Those prerequisites are already there in ISO media, but someone may ask you like, what are the prerequisites? So what we did, we have covered out the introduction part. We have configured the delivery group and core component. Not configured, we have just installed, right? We have
यस
just
सर
installed the setup, no configuration done so far. Then we have configured the hypervisor, like we have installed the hypervisor and we have uh, configured some DNS records. So here we have completed, right? Now we have to create a site. So let's go back here. So basically, if we talk about the site setup and deployment type into the Citrix. So basically, Citrix allow two types of deployment. First one is to deliver application and desktop, and second one is for the remote PC access. Okay, so what is remote PC access? Basically, the machines which are not power managed, means if I'm talking about the not power managed, that means those machines are not hosted on the hypervisor. These are the physical machines which is located into your office infra or into your home, whatever the location. Okay, so if you want to publish any physical hardware, in that case you can use second option, right? But if everything is power managed, means you can access the hypervisor and you can manually power it on, not manually, you can remotely power it on, right? But for the physical machine, what is the requirement? You need someone to be present in your office to power on that machine manually, right? You cannot power on physical machine remotely, right?
ओके सर
So here we are going to set up a site.
फर्स्ट ऑप्शन
Yeah, first option, to deliver application and desktop both, right? Click on it.
ओके
Okay, my laptop is actually a little bit slow. Okay, so now it is asking for a site name. Okay, so it could be your office location, your home location, your branch location, right? So let's suppose for my case, let's enter it in our office. Okay, so in a same way, you can create a different site for different offices or
यस
different
सर
locations. Okay, it is just an identity, like you can identify by the name for which location this site is created. Okay,
ओके
simply click on next. Now it is asking for the database. So what we did, actually we have installed SQL Server in the same machine, right? So these are the database names. Okay, Citrix site, Citrix monitoring and Citrix logging. Okay, so please do remember the database names. Okay, and we have installed the SQL Server in local machine only, so that is the only reason why it is showing localhost here. If you have any separate SQL Server, so what you have to do, you have to replace the localhost with the IP address or the host name of that server. Got it?
Got it, sir.
Simply click on next. Now actually it is validating the database. Is it up or not, or credentials are valid or not. Okay, so as I told you earlier, we have installed all the core components on the same machine itself. So that is the only reason why localhost is here for license server. Why? Because we have we have installed license server in the same machine only.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
So in the production, you will always get a separate server for separate services. Okay. Or the separate core
Okay, sir.
components. Okay. So by default, it is allowed to use Citrix hypervisor at free of cost for the 30 days. Okay. So we are going to use it for 30 days trial. But if you have any license file, so you can, you can upload that license file here. After that, you will be allowed to use the hypervisor as per the validity of your license. Okay. So right now we are good with the 30 days trial. Okay. Simply click on next. So after this, our site will be created, our hypervisor is up, our delivery controller is up, means our data center is almost created. What we have to do, we have to create few virtual machines, we have to publish few applications to end users. Then after, we have to create a storefront server to publish those applications to end users. That's it. Okay. So now what it is asking for the hypervisor, like what hypervisor you are using. Okay. So Citrix is compatible with the number of hypervisors available in the market. So if you click here, what you can see, VMware vSphere is there, then Microsoft System Center Virtual Machine Manager. Earlier it was Hyper-V. I'm not sure if the guys have changed the name. Okay. So we have three hypervisors available. Okay. As you can see here. Okay. And
Yes, sir.
no machine management is for the physical machines. Okay. For physical machine, no
Okay,
machine management will be there. You need someone to power it on and to make it up, right? So now it is asking for the connection address. So what we have to enter here, we have two options. Either we can enter the IP address or we have to enter the FQDN, that is fully qualified domain name. So it is always preferred to use the FQDN only, okay? Which is http
yes, sir.
colon double slash gen server
One.
hyphen 02 dot tech
And
mtech.com. Okay. Now we have to enter the root for username, the username password, and we have to provide a connection name for this hypervisor. So I can enter gen server.
sir, but if we want to put the IP address in place of sir FQDN, we can do or not, sir?
We can do that, na? We can do that.
But sir, FQDN is more authenticated as comparison to IP address.
If your DNS server goes down, in that case, what you will do, right? You need something, you can go with the IP address, that is not a big deal, but it is always recommended to use
Uh,
the FQDN. Why? Because
FQDN.
it is easy to remember, na? The host name, Gen server 02, that means you are connecting to
Okay.
the Gen server, right? Simply, we are using the MCS tool, which is Citrix Machine Creation Services, okay? Simply click on next, it will validate the credentials. Basically, what we have done, we have added one hypervisor into our site. In a same way, you can add thousands of hypervisors into your site, okay?
Yes.
So now Our hypervisor is added. Now it is asking for the storage management. So if I'm talking about the storage management, so far what we have to do, we are going to use local storage of hypervisor, what we have given to the those hypervisors. Okay, but in production, uh, you will never use, you will never have to use the local storage of hypervisors. You always have to use the shared storage or the iSCSI storage or the network storage, which is available in organizations, right? So if you have any shared storage available, do you understand if I'm talking about the shared storage? So what is shared storage? Have you ever worked on NAS hard drives or iSCSI hard drives, those kind of storage?
Sir, I know about the iSCSI hard drive, sir.
Mhm,
Initiation, a small computer interface
mhm,
system.
mhm. So just forget about the iSCSI storage. Just suppose why we are using, why in production, why we always use the shared storage. The reason is that just suppose if your hardware, your hypervisor goes down, right, and you are using the local storage, so in that case there will be a complete data loss, right? So to prevent the data loss, it is always recommended to put your data over the
Yes,
network storage, right? So if you are having your data on the network devices, that means when your hypervisor goes down, you can replace that hypervisor with new one and you can connect the storage, right? The same storage, and your services will be up, right? Because for IT companies, data is everything, right? They cannot compromise
yes,
with
sir.
the data and security. So simply, so for our practical purpose, we are using the local storage of the hypervisor, but I will let you know how to connect the hypervisor with the iSCSI storage. Okay, I will schedule a demo for the same. Okay, simply click on next. Now this is the network. What we have selected, the local storage on Gen server 02, and on that local storage, we will deploy the operating system and temporary files both. Okay. Now we have to name this network connection. So I can name it like Gen network is for N and 02. Okay. This is for my Gen server 02. So FB publishing, basically it is a kind of FB service, or you can consider it as a app sensor server. Okay. So far we are not going to deploy any FB publishing. This is the additional feature. Simply click on next. We will cover it later. So this is a summary what we have selected. This is a site database. Delivery controller is ddc2.techemtech.com. This is a license server. This is a hypervisor, and the storage what we have selected. Simply click on finish. In some time, it will create a site for us. Any question so far in that? It may take some time to create a site.
No, sir.
Okay. So parallelly, practice is very, very, very important. Okay. Please do practice followed by my videos. Otherwise, you will forget. Okay. Because these
Yes.
are the lengthy topics actually. You must have to practice before preparing for the interviews, because in interviews always real time scenario based questions will be there. No one going to ask you like what is machine catalog. Somehow they can ask, okay, but always they prefer to ask some scenario based questions like if this thing goes down, what will be the impact, right? What are the connection leasings? What is high availability? Those kinds of questions the guides may ask to you. Okay. And the very, very important and basic things are the port numbers, right? Like
Yes, sir.
port numbers, you should remember always, because if you can't answer the port number itself, so it is very, very bad thing. Okay. Even interviewer, like those are the like like not that much technical guys. They are from technical background, but they are working in the organization as a manager or as a director. If you are getting hired for the higher profile, so those are from the technical background, but they was working as a technical guys at least 4, 5 or 6, 7 years ago, right? So they will ask you basic questions only, not that much into the deep. And why they ask scenario based question? The reason is that because they are working on scenarios only. They have to lead out the teams for P1 or P2 kind of tickets. So
Yes,
they have separate team for separate kind of issues. But please be prepared. And also I'm having one more doc with me that I will share with you guys after your trainings actually, because if I shared this right now, you will get confused and you will not be able to understand the things. So any question is this network diagram?
no sir, no sir,
Everything clear?
yes sir,
And also please try to have some hands-on on Azure Active Directory. Uh, why? The reason is that because right now what companies are doing, they are putting their database and authentication on Azure Active Directory. In that way, they do not have to deploy a like separate delivery controller for their organization. Each and everything will be managed by Azure, means each and everything are hosted on the Azure. Okay, so please do have some exposure on Azure Active Directory. How means things are same actually. What we are doing here, you will get all those options over there, but GUI may be different. Like if you have to create a user, some options is here and there. Only that difference. Okay, so because what organization are doing right now, they are procuring the multiple products from the multiple companies as per their whenever they found any cost effective product from any vendor, they just buy it and they ask their
by it.
technical guys to configure the thing. So you will always get a kind of hybrid infra, not for the small companies always rely on the single product itself because they cannot afford multiple things. Why? Because for multiple things multiple engineers will be required to manage the stuff. But for large MNCs or the okay, so here our studio is configured. Our site is configured. This is the first look like
Yes, sir.
machine catalogs. From here you can create the machine catalogs, the delivery groups. I think everyone is aware with that console, right?
Yes, sir.
Policies, logging, administrator, hosting. So this is just an overview of our Citrix Studio. And after this session, what we will do, we will learn how to create the machine catalogs. Okay. Then we will learn how to create the
Create
delivery
delivery
group.
group.
Okay. So as I shown you, first we will learn how to create machine catalogs, then how to create the delivery groups. Okay. Then we will configure the
Yes, sir.
storefront. Then we will test our deployment. Okay. So any
Okay, sir.
questions so far? This is done for today's session. Actually, it's quite longer. Okay, it's I think
No, sir.
almost one more than 1 hour now. So what we will do, we will connect tomorrow, and tomorrow 6 a.m. or 7 a.m. is fine because today's class is getting it was late scheduled, right?
Yes, sir.
So
7
tomorrow
a.m., sir. It's okay.
7 a.m. is fine for you.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so what I will do by evening, I will share invite to all of you guys at 7 a.m. tomorrow morning. Okay, for 7 a.m. tomorrow morning. Okay. Okay, guys. Also, I will share the recording once I upload it. Once I upload this to on YouTube, I will share the link to you. Thank you very much. Have a nice day. Bye bye.
Thank you, sir. Bye, sir. Thank you
Bye.
very much, sir.
Very, very much. Bye.